This is your lecture for topic 8.6, solving an equation for a specified variable, literal equations. We did do this in a previous unit where it just looked like these types of problems where you just had two variables, generally x and y. So hopefully this will be a little bit of a review as we move forward. When you're solving for an equation for a specified variable, basically you're rearranging it to equal an expression. So you're isolating that variable that it wants by itself. So really, when it says solve for y, I'm never going to get y equals 5. I'm going to say y equals some expression. So I'm trying to isolate y. So what that means is I want to take this entire term and move it to the other side. So I would subtract it since it's a positive 8x. So what I have left is a negative y equals, and I like to write my variable term first because we're in the habit of descending order, which we've learned previously. So negative 8x, since that's a positive 5, I would write plus 5. Now, y looks like it's by itself, but right now it's a negative because it had a minus sign in front of it. So we want to make that a positive y. So remember, you can fix that by dividing by negative 1. So you get y equals a positive 8x minus 5. So y is equaling that expression of 8x minus 5. It would look different if you isolated x in that problem. It'd be a whole different answer. So just be careful that you're solving for what is requested. You know, like solve for y. Make sure you get y by itself. 52 says solve for z. So this is what I'm trying to get by itself. So that means the other term that's over here, I want to move it. Since it's a minus 3y or negative, I would add 3y to move that over. So 4z equals 3y is positive, and since that's a positive 8, I would put plus 8. Then you need to get z by itself. There is a number in front of it now. So we need to divide every term separately by 4. Because when we do that, that gives us z by itself equals, that's like saying 3 over 4y. That can't reduce, but 4 can go into 8 2 whole times. So you need to be sure you divide them separately, just like you did like with the negative 1. And so hopefully you kind of remember doing that. If not, that was a little bit of a review. When we move on to 53, it looks like it's a real long word problem, but it's not. They're giving you a formula for the volume of a cone. It's this right here. And it tells you what each thing is. R is the radius of the base of a cone. H is the height. V obviously represents volume. This is the pi symbol. 3.14, but we're not even replacing or doing anything with those variables other than it says solve this formula for h. So you need to think isolate h in that formula. You're rearranging the formula. So what I'd like for you to do is write the formula down, leave a little bit of a space between the equal sign because of the 1/3. I'll show you why when we get there. So remember, when we're rearranging an equation, you're basically doing the inverse operation to move it. Just like up here, you were adding or subtracting to move a term, then dividing like by 4, because that's the inverse. This would be like saying 4 times z, so we divide the inverse operation to get z by itself. If I'm trying to get h by itself, all of this stuff right now indicates multiplication. 1/3 times pi times r squared times h. Because there's a fraction though in front, remember, to get rid of a fraction, you always have to flip and multiply it. So if you do that here, you have to do that over here as well. And I don't put 3 over 1 on the left just because I don't need to see the fraction over 1. It's understood. I do it here to show how it cancels or becomes a 1. So we have 3v equals pi times r squared times h. If I'm trying to get h by itself, and all of this between here is really times, I put dots there to show you that, then really all you have to do to get h by itself now is just divide by pi and r squared. Look how that cancels. Pi over pi, r squared over r squared. But if you do it here, you have to do it over here as well. So you just moved it to the other side by dividing. So 3v over pi r squared equals h. 54 says solve for x. So you're doing what you need to do to get that x term by itself. We actually could move two terms at the same time. Since there's nothing over here, it's not like it matters how we arrange it, but we do need to be sure I'm subtracting 3y to move it to the other side of that equal sign, and I'm adding so that it zeroes out on the left-hand side. But when you get over there, you're not having to add or subtract it from anything, so we just write minus 3y plus 12 on the right. And similar to number 52, since I have a number by x, I need to divide by that number. And you need to do it separately. So we have x equals a negative 3 over 4y. And 4 goes into 12 3 times, so plus 3. So again, this might seem weird and different because we're saying we're solving an equation, but we're not really solving it. We're just getting something by itself. So you always do the inverse operation to move things around. So if you're somebody that likes to move your furniture around or whatever, it's just like you're rearranging the terms that you're given. And how do you do that? You do that by using opposite operation to move it. So like in this one, solve for t. T is right here, and everything beside it means it's being multiplied. So all you have to do is say, well, I don't want the little n and the big R. So I'm going to divide by my little n and big R. So I have capital P, capital V over little n, big R equals T. That's really all you have to do. The only time you're adding or subtracting to move something over is kind of like in this term right here. I needed to move that term to the left-hand, that entire term to the left-hand side. Since it was a positive 3y, we moved it. Over here, this is all multiplication, so we just have to divide. 56 says f equals 5 over 9c plus 32. Solve for c. So this is the term that has c. So what we want to do is move 32 to the other side. So that would be in the case where we need to add or subtract to move it. Since f and 32 are not like terms, we just write it as an expression over there. And I'm going to leave a little space here because if I have a fraction by a letter, then to get that letter by itself, we have to multiply times its reciprocal. Since there's more than one thing over here, we're going to go ahead and multiply times 9 over 5, but put it in a parentheses. You don't actually have to go through and distribute that. So we have 9 over 5 times f minus 32 equals c. And the last example, if we're solving for r and r is up here, what we would want to do is get rid of the fraction just like we would want to get rid of fractions when we're solving regular equations first. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is multiply times a lowercase n. And that's how we would get rid of that, and we would just have in the top r minus c. Over here, n times p, you could just write np. It doesn't really matter if you put the p or the n first. To get r by itself, because it said solve for r, that means I would want to move this entire term. Since it says minus c, I would add c. I know it's kind of weird because it's a letter, but to just move that letter over, we just add it. But since these are not like terms, we just write them beside each other, connecting with a plus sign. One thing I do want to point out with WebAssign is case sensitive. Okay, so you need to be sure that if it's a lowercase or uppercase, that you are plugging it in how it's given. So that's a lowercase, and then these other two were uppercase, actually 3 were uppercase letters. You have to plug it in as lowercase and uppercase, or it will count it wrong, even if you've solved correctly. Just like up here, even with x's and y's, those are always lowercase, so they need to be plugged in as lowercase letters. This one, if you have a problem like this, a lot of this comes from your homework, so that's why I'm going over it. These are all uppercase except for that little n. Okay, so that is a lowercase letter, so be sure that you pay attention and you plug it in correctly. I think this one is a commonly missed one because this V, I think in WebAssign might be capital, so just pay attention to that, because if it's a capital V in WebAssign, then it should be a capital V when you enter it. I know in my example it looks like a lowercase. I can't remember if it is or not, but just be aware that WebAssign is case sensitive. It's the way they program the answers, and so you do need to answer that correctly.